dominance. Proprietary patented race technology. Proudly made in the USA. Unparalleled customer service and support. The choice of champions. King Shocks. The leader in off-road shock technology.
Mark, why does the Growers Company buy Ford? Is there any particular reason for that?
Yes, we do, because we depend on a good product, and Ford has been good to us in the past. We put a lot of miles on our vehicles, and they hold up for us, Joe.
And it was a long time ago, Mark, but you're still buying Ford trucks from Alexander Ford.
We sure do, and we get the same great service even today at Alexander Ford.
Alexander Ford. We were here for you then, here for you now, and long into the future. A difference you can count on.
Welcome, everybody, to the 34th annual BF Goodrich Tire SCORE San Felipe 250 recap show here on Fishgistics, the circus run by Austin Farner. He happens to be my co-host. My name is Cameron Steele, and Fish, stoked to be wrapping up San Felipe with you today.
Yeah. Thanks once again, Cameron, for coming on, and we're gonna have some fun. Talk to quite a few people today. We got some good people on the show today. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely a banger of a show. Yeah, what else would I do on a beautiful Southern California day? Like go surfing or ride my mountain bike or something like that?
Yeah, what else would you do? Maybe be in Baja or something. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'll tell you, it was really cool to be back in San Felipe at the races. A beautiful location there along the Sea Cortez. And we'll get to all of the dirt that we can dish today. For those of you new to Fishgistics, it's a very free Q&A type session with our guests. And speaking of guests, just going to introduce quickly on this segment, we'll have Kyle Sagan. He was an EV Toyota, race number EV 422 at San Felipe. Paige Soren, the daughter of legendary off-road racer Pete Soren, a legend in her own right, developing for sure. Cade McCachran is here with us. And the last name sounds familiar, but this guy's winning races of his own right. A little bit later on, we'll have some Trophy Truck Spec turkeys. Jason Coleman, Jordan Poole, Kyle Jurgensen will all be here. And then in our third segment at 1 o'clock, we'll have some hitters in the industry. Some guy named Bryce Menzies, another dude named Luke something or other, Andy McMillan. Yeah, I think there's going to be some good guys. It looks like Alan Ampudia is going to be here, as will Jack's Redline. And I was just kidding. Luke McMillan will be here as well. So big hitters coming up later on the show. For those of you that don't know, we last year we didn't race San Felipe, which was a bummer for sure. I know all of us missed it, but all in good health for everybody. I think that going back to the races and seeing everybody following the mandates and following the rules is good to see. Keeps everything safer for everyone. I wanted to start off with probably the hardest the conversation of the whole thing for me. I think that SCORE did a great and very honorable thing by honoring Pistol Pete Soren, who sadly passed away in San Felipe 2 years ago. Our team went to race in honor of Pete. Of course, he and I used to be partners and frenemies, as Kurt Leduc says, and straight up just used to battle. But we cut from the same cloth as off-road racers, and he's turned his family into off-road racers. And so first going to get to you, Paige. I see the truck all yellow. I love seeing it. Of course, the number 2 emblazoned on the side. You're no stranger to winning. You've won before, but congratulations on winning in the Class 3000 in honor of your dad at San Felipe. But it had a little bit of a different twist for you this time around.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty exciting. And I've quoted before that I should never quote, but I'm totally all about the adventure and the Baja magic that Baja provides. When I started going down there as a young kid on just spring break, instantly in love with San Felipe. We'd spend weeks down there. My dad would race, and then we'd spend the whole week as a family just hanging out. I learned about pre-running. It kind of took over. And I really got to experience that Baja magic that Baja provides, and why we're all in love with it. And honoring my dad is just cherry on top of anything that I could ever do for him. So it was totally exciting. We didn't even think about winning, right? We're here for the finish line. We're going for that Pistol Pete style of never give up. And that's exactly what my siblings and I did. And it was incredible.
So let's talk a little bit about the siblings, because I don't know which of them have or haven't raced.
There's a lot
but I
of
know
us.
you guys went to complete the mission. I know that originally when your dad passed, you guys were there to go racing, and it's good to see Farah come back and race. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that story and how your siblings played into racing the car, because it's not something they do every day. You are more of a professional racer. They are not.
I definitely have the most experience, just unfortunately because of my age and being the oldest and being able to go down there to all those races with my dad and spend all that time. But overall, we all are very competitive in our own way. That's the one thing that we all share. So there's 4 of us siblings. I'm going to be the oldest. My brother Van, my sister Blair, and our youngest Farah. So just a little bit of background. My brother and I, we've probably raced the most amount of miles. My sister Blair and I, she is very competitive on her own, but more of like that track and field mentality. And then she also, she did the Red Bull TV series with us, Driving Dirty, back in, I think, 2015. So she did the Baja 1000 with Jesse Combs and I. So that was like a really cool opportunity. And then our younger sister, Farah, when she was 15 years old, our dad took her down to San Felipe back in 2018. What year is it? Oh my God. Okay, 2019. Took her down there for her very first race. He pre-ran with her the whole time. I got down there on Friday morning, early Friday morning, watched the sun come up. It was absolutely spectacular. We had the best day pre-running at, I forget what it's called, the Mayhem, the San Felipe Mayhem race, right? It's a little tiny entry-level race. And unfortunately, we got into an accident that changed our lives forever. So it's a really crazy full wing circle, and I'm not here to give a sob story, right? I'm here to tell our story about San Felipe 250, but that's what brings us there, right? That was the last time any of us ever got in a truck, ever saw a truck, ever touched a truck, was that day. And we've been waiting for our youngest sister, right? She's going to be the one that takes us on to that next level. The rest of us, 3 of us, have been waiting for her to say, I want to race. In March, she sent us the text, hey, I think I want to do it. And we were like, yes, like we're so excited and we're so ready to race with her and bring her back to speed. So we took on the challenge. Zach McKinley is my dad's best friend, and he took on the challenge of prepping us all. We don't know anything, right? So he took on the challenge of taking care of us and being our chief out there, and he did a phenomenal job. Even to go into a little bit more detail, our sister Farah, she went out testing the weekend before and crashed, pistol style, right? All of us kids were not very good. We're not as good as our dad, definitely. But Farah crashed and she was unable to race. So basically what happened is my brother and I took the lead on racing the San Felipe 250. We spent most of the miles, and our sister Farah and our mom, Cami Soren, the toughest of all of us, she got in and they did the last 2 miles to the finish. So it was absolutely incredible. It was amazing, and we cried the whole way.
I bet it's emotional to hear the story. Obviously, family has brought you guys all together. It's really cool. Your mom got in the race car. I know, talking to your mom, Cami, we kind of share the same name, Cami and Cameron.
Yep.
But she was like, I'm not getting in the car. I'm like, you do what you want to do, what you think is a good move. And I had this feeling when I walked away that she was getting in the car. So that's really cool. I'm stoked that she did. Speaking of family, I want to shift it over a little bit to Caden. Paige has a great story. We're all going to start intermixing our conversations here in a minute, but Caden, it's great to have you on Fishgistics for the first time. For those of you that don't know, Caden McCachran, like Paige, is a second generation, actually third generation, if I'm not mistaken, off-road racer. Both of you guys are. And it's cool to have you here. And you won in the UTV class in San Felipe. So that's not your first win, but that's your first SCORE win, correct?
Yeah, it's my first SCORE win. And it's actually my first SCORE race too. So that's a good thing to do.
Right on. Sounds like you've been practicing your trade quite a bit. And I guess when you break it down, you have a pretty decent teacher, right?
He's all right. I don't know.
Oh man, that's great. I got to spend a little bit of
before.
time. For those of you that don't know, Caden and Rob actually came as part of the BF Goodrich team to Trail of Missions a couple years ago. So I got to meet and hang out with Caden a little bit. So that was a lot of fun. Tell me a little bit about what you expected in San Felipe, and do you think it was hard for your dad to let go? Because I know he's been to your races, but he's been able to hang out or be there. This time he was working also, so he wasn't able to help as much. And do you think that he's thinking about what you're doing while he's in his race car?
Yeah, we're definitely racing at the same time. Maybe makes it easier for him because he's not thinking about what I'm doing. But yeah, luckily enough, Jagged X has invited me to come race at San Felipe with them, and I knew I had a lot of experience and stuff in Baja, and being able to go pre with my dad and all his experience and really helps out.
Right on. Yeah. You and Brandon Schuler teamed up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right on. I think that's pretty cool. The cool story to hear about, you coming out and winning, and obviously Paige winning. And technically speaking of winning, Kyle Sagan joins us. He raced in the EV class. Now, you're not the first electric vehicle entry. I know there was a buggy that raced some time ago, but it seems like all of a sudden there's a lot of highlight on the electric vehicles. How you guys didn't finish, but you still won, if I'm not mistaken. How far did you guys get, and what are the challenges like, Kyle, to get that electric car across the finish line?
Well, we made it 100.
Doesn't sound like that's going to work. We need a little bit better cell service there. It sounds like Kyle, you're breaking up.
Having problems at mile 137.
He's gonna keep going.
He needs more battery.
Good one, Caden. I like that.
Where we weren't exactly sure what the issue was.
You might have to mute that Fish until we can figure out.
Let's try and turn his video off. Try it now, Kyle. Is that a little better?
Okay.
Wait, try it now, Kyle. Maybe not.
No.
All right. Well, we'll carry on.
All right, Kyle, get on some Wi-Fi, get a little better internet connection there. Maybe it'll work better.
So anyway, the part of the story there, obviously, that's interesting, and Fish, quite a bit about the story here. But we don't just have one entry; we had 2 EV entries. I know the Lordstown guys were there, as well as Kyle Sagan and his team in the Toyota.
Yep.
And you followed that pretty closely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was basically there was two EV trucks that were coming to the race, and it actually kind of generated quite a bit of news because if you guys don't know the Lordstown entry, that Lordstown is actually like a public company also. So you can go and buy stock and everything. So you had all these stock nerds and everything who were into Lordstown on the internet, who were all about following this race that had no idea of anything about a race. So you got guys on Reddit and all these, boards, and they're trying to buy the stock and like, oh, if the truck does really good, we're going to be, we're going to the moon and we're going to buy Lambos and everything. So it's like so they were really watching the race. So you have all these people who have never watched the race that are watching it. So you got them watching on me, and then the Weatherman channel was just getting hammered by all these guys asking what was going on with the Lordstown truck and how they were doing and everything. And they had no idea about racing, but they were just asking these questions. So honestly, it's pretty cool that this has happened because it's brought more attention to racing from people that aren't always watching racing, so you get a whole new, is it going to be the future? I don't know. I mean, they only made it 40 miles and Kyle made it, I think 160 or whatever. They both had 2 different plans. Kyle was changing battery packs and Lordstown was trying to charge the truck with a diesel generator, which is kind of hilarious if you ask me. But
we didn't ask you, but of course you're full of comedy. So, keep the comedy coming.
Yeah, I'm just telling you guys the facts, right? I mean, that's what they were doing. So, but no, it was cool that Brenthal did a really good job. A little shout out to them. They got that truck built in, like a month from the ground up. So it was pretty cool to see it there. But hopefully Kyle can get a better internet connection here and come back and maybe talk to us about his program there. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about having you guys be third generation. Paige, obviously you're familiar with McCachran family. Have you ever met Caden before? Did you know there was a Caden McCachran down there racing?
I did know about Caden McCachran, but we have never met. But I've definitely spent some time with his dad.
Right. And about you, Caden, were you aware of what was going on with the Soren kids?
Yeah, actually, I watched the Red Bull video or whatever back in 2015 on that team or whatever, and it was actually very interesting. Yeah, I haven't met Paige, but I know she is.
Right on. So Paige, what's you guys show up in San Felipe. Obviously, we were all there for the turning of the arches yellow at night. It's got to be pretty emotional for you to go back to San Felipe, but I understand. I feel the same. Not only did I lose Pete in San Felipe, but I also lost Ox in San Felipe, who's very close family like to me. It's kind of, for me, when I head back down there, I find myself kind of excited to pay homage to them and be there in town. But at the same time, I'll find myself sometimes, pretty retrospective at the same time. Do you get that same kind of feeling, Paige?
Yeah, totally. It's so I've only been down there twice since the accident, this year, and then I went down the year that it happened in 2019. And in 2019, our entire family was just absolutely in shock. We sold thousands of dollars of these t-shirts, and we packaged them up in the garage, and like people ask me to send them a shirt right now, and I can't do it. So it's the craziest thing. Shock is the craziest thing. How long it lasts is absolutely crazy. So I finally was able to go to San Felipe this year and really look around and take it in. And I've driven, my father's accident. We were in an accident in the sand dunes right behind like Victor's RV park and the El Cortez Hotel. And the first time I drove by there, I like couldn't even look, and I just like, your whole heart shatters. But this time I felt it's really weird. I felt really at peace with the whole situation. So I know that my dad's not there in the dunes, right? He's with me. He's with me everywhere I go. And he's at Adriana's taco shop, and he's at the Malecon, and he's at, just everywhere. And being able to see those arches and then to see him light up yellow is just an incredible honor. And he'll always continue to live on with us as long as he's in our stories, and we just keep talking about him and bringing him up and remembering him for sure.
For sure. Well, you guys are doing a great honor by him. I think it's pretty incredible. The race wise, you guys had no problems, no drama. That's not very Pistol Pete of you guys.
I know. I was very worried. I was very scared, but no drama, no problems. I squirreled out at race mile 8 trying to pass somebody, which is just typical Paige Soren. I've crashed the most out of all my siblings, probably out of all of my dad's crashes too in my short duration of racing. But I was going for this pass at like race mile 8 and literally high centered all 4 of my wheels off the ground on this giant rock, and all these American guys were there to save me, and I couldn't even believe it. Most of the time it's always just the locals, but they all saved me. And I think they were all like part of the retirement community, and it was awesome, and we kept going, and I just went for that, no mistake. I wasn't going to ruin it again at race mile 9. So I got it to my brother at race mile 40. We switched kind of early because he's the one that really put in all the effort. He still lives in Arizona. He prepped it all. He worked on all the truck, and I wanted him to get that experience. So he went for racing, and he raced all the way to 2:30. There's some pretty cool video footage out there of him, like drone footage, and he had the best time. I saw him
making some passes out there.
Yeah, no, it's a killer video. So that was super exciting, and he had a ton of fun. And then my sister Blair and I, she doesn't really like to drive, but she's still super competitive. And it was really fun to have her in the car. The last time we raced was back in 2015. So to have her in there and for her to be a part of it was just incredible. And the whole thing was incredible. What do you want to know about? You want to know about our passes and all the crazy stuff that we did, and, holding it wide. And of course it's all there, but we did it for our dad, and that's just overpowers the entire thing.
Yeah, I did want to mention, I love the artwork. We can see it behind you there on the side of the truck. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
I do want to say, since you just said that, I guess I really want to thank everybody who got us there, right? When my dad died, a part of our lives died too. Like we just overall, for example, income and experiences and the ability to do things died with my dad. So we're out here, we're pretty young. We're all trying to make our way in the world. And all my dad's sponsors and partners and lifelong friends and family really pulled through to help us. So I'm really glad that Fish showed me this cool trick of hanging this truck on the wall. So
That's very cool. A great honor.
Kyle might be back.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Kyle, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Whoa.
There we go.
Yeah,
Kyle.
I don't think I can run the video. The Wi-Fi won't let me call out here. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a real challenge. We've been learning a lot about the electric car stuff, and it's been really fun racing it. We made it to mile 157. We're having problems at mile 137, and it had to do with the high voltage system. And at some point, we decided to play it safe and not mess with it in the dark with minimal tools. And so we packed it up. But I'm super proud of my team and the effort we put forward. We want to improve and do better. We want to finish, and we want to finish fast. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there as a team. But it was a great start for us. I feel like we learned a lot, and we had a lot of fun. I mean, it's all about. My dad co-drive, my girlfriend co-drive, and we just had a great time with friends, getting the truck ready and racing. So,
right on. This isn't the first time you guys have raced the EV class, right? You raced other races.
We raced King of the Hammers. That was the first time I've ever raced an EV for sure. I've raced some dirt bike stuff before, but no major car races. And yeah, I mean, that was awesome. We completed the 76 miles. We were the only car there. We didn't do the rocks. That wasn't part of the EV course this year. It was really cool. We just learning a lot about how to put these things together. And then there's lots of advantages to them that I've anticipated and have come to find is true, whether it's packaging, the equipment inside the vehicle, the way less shifting. You only need a couple of gears. They stay cool. Lots of things that are really beneficial about the EV system, I think.
I did have one question for you, Kyle. So, people know how much a car costs, gas cars and everything. What do you guys think you honestly had in your program going to that race? Like, with the truck, and what do you guys think you had in it money-wise? Just approximate.
Well, the truck, not that much really. It's just without going into it, and maybe around 20 to 25 makes a lot of sense. But okay. The batteries we had on site was over $100,000 easily. We didn't actually. What was really cool was that we worked out a deal with EV West where we didn't have to own those batteries. We rented them, so to speak, and we set them up in those aluminum enclosures that you might have saw. So those are actually back at EV West. And if anybody has an electric vehicle they want to race or use, they can sort of rent those batteries for a time and give them back, so they don't have to buy that amount of really expensive battery.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it basically, instead of using, your fuel budget, people are spending on the batteries this race. It's just kind of a little different.
Right. Yeah. It's for sure. The battery is the biggest inhibiting factor. There's electric motors that make all kinds of power. We can figure out all the auxiliary systems. Definitely battery. The energy density is for sure our limiting factor.
And I think these are probably going to be conversations we have for the long term and getting more popular. Kyle, you're on the cutting edge of the EV movement. I can sympathize a little bit with a $100,000 fuel bill. If you ever raced two trophy trucks at the Peninsula Run Baja 1000, I can tell you all about that. Not $100,000, but definitely painful. Hey, Caden, I wanted to ask you, buddy, your success is coming quickly. Do you feel like it's all in the pre-race routine, a lot of the training? Where do you think the success comes from early in your career?
So I like to say I've been around off-road for all 19 years of my life. So I have 19.
Man, you're 19 already?
Yep, 19 in last February or this February, yep. So I have 19 years of experience already, and I just started racing 3 years ago. So listening, watching, playing video games about off-road, all that stuff ties into experience. And yeah, it came quickly, but I like it coming quick.
For sure. What's your plan moving forward? Are you going to go ahead and race with Brandon at all the Baja races?
Yeah, I think we're starting to make a plan to race. The next race would be the 500, maybe Vegas to Reno, 400, and 1,000. So hopefully that comes together and I keep getting to race with them.
Right.
When you get to race your dad's truck.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Last year, remember?
You drove it, right?
Yeah, I drove the last 90 miles. He got out. He hurt his back. So yeah.
That's a bummer that he got hurt, but cool to see that you got the nod. That's a lot of respect from Dad to hand you the keys, so to speak, of the trophy truck. How'd you like that?
He didn't want to hand me the keys. He had to. I grabbed him out of his hand. I forced him to do it. Yeah, it was awesome driving the trophy truck, but trying to drive something with that much capability without any practice is kind of difficult.
Yeah, I can tell you that the first time I ever drove a trophy truck, which was a long time ago now, they feel so big. At first you get in there and you're like, it feels like a giant boat, but once you start driving them for a while, you realize that they're not really that much bigger than the other race cars, but it's definitely a tough transition. Let's talk a little bit about your UTV and the setup and stuff. I mean, the 4-wheel drive is just amazing. Do you guys feel like you have to be a little bit careful with it? Because a lot of talk when you talk about the all-wheel drive trophy trucks, some people have a tendency to say, oh, you got to kind of take care of that front drive system. Is that something that you feel like, or do you guys race in 2-wheel drive sometimes, or is it all time 4-wheel drive for you?
So this being my first desert race in a UTV, I'm still learning about all this stuff, but I race Works, which is like a supercross style for UTVs. And that's, you just wide open the whole time and you're not worried about breaking anything. But yeah, learning more about desert racing, the guys go pretty fast. And obviously San Felipe is such a rough course. I had no idea how fast to go. So we just kind of cruised and it ended up working out.
Right on. You didn't answer the question if you race in 4-wheel drive the whole time or not.
It's a secret. No, 4-wheel drive all the time.
Okay. I was just curious about that. I was wondering if you're already going McCachran on us, like keeping secrets and stuff.
Should.
You know your dad doesn't like to uncover all of his secrets, but
yeah.
I think the real secret of Rob McCachran's success is Rob McCachran. So not the secrets. But it's really cool to see what you've been able to attain in a short amount of time. And so 500 for you, Paige. What are you guys gonna do? Are you guys gonna come back and race, or are you guys thinking that you're gonna maybe just cruise a little bit now? Because now you're leading the points, right?
I know.
That's always that pressure situation, right? It's like
we
go
are
to the first race of the year, and all of a sudden, oh geez.
So we are. I guess we are leading the points now, but I think we're gonna carry on San Felipe, and we're gonna plan to do San Felipe for the rest of our lives.
That's cool. And you guys paid out a special purse in honor of your dad.
Oh, we did. Yeah, to the Class 5 guy. He won $2,222.22. That was gathered by friends and family as well. We want to continue to carry that out and give it to the Class 5 guy.
For those of you that don't know, Pete was a big Class 5 guy. He cut his teeth really in limited trucks and in the Class 5, but Class 5 is where I really knew Pete from. And Kyle, with the EV class, is that something that's attainable to go to those longer races, or do you need to stay at the shorter races, or do you think it's the Baja 500 something that you guys would possibly consider doing, or what's next for you?
I'd love to do the Baja 500, but no, I don't think that's part of our program right now. Obviously, we couldn't complete the 250, and we don't. Yeah, we're not gearing up for the 500. We were mostly there to give Lordstown a race, to be honest with you. That's the biggest reason why we made the call to figure it out and get ourselves to the 250. That said, maybe some smaller local stuff, but for sure King of the Hammers next year. And we really kind of want to perhaps build something else. I want to go faster. Probably not continuing with that truck, but for right now, we're not close enough on anything to really say what that might be. But we definitely kind of want to do something that looks a little goes a little better.
Right. Have you heard, or Fish, have you heard, are the Lordstown guys coming back for another race this year?
I heard that they're taking a break for a little while. I don't know if they would come back this year or not. It's kind of everybody that you talk to over there is super secret and they don't want to say anything. And honestly, I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. Just my opinion.
Copy. I did want to say that this is one of the most difficult segments I've ever hosted, especially here on Fishgistics, because there's 3 so dynamically different things happening here with 3 different teams and drivers. So I want to apologize because it feels like we're jumping around and the story keeps changing, even though we're tying San Felipe through it all. But there's a lot. One question doesn't seem to fit for each person, which sometimes is the case. So I wanted to apologize to our 3 guests and also to everybody listening that there might have been a little jumping around in there. Before we close down the segment, first of all, my heart is with you, Paige. I love you and your family. I love your dad. We miss him dearly. And it's an honor. Thank you for letting us run the number 2 on our truck at San Felipe. It's very cool. But any closing thoughts from you, and then we'll shift to Kyle and Caden for their closing thoughts as well.
No, I want to thank you for having me on the show, and it's pretty exciting to be a part of the off-road community. They've taken very good care of our family, and I can't thank everybody enough. So thank you.
For sure. It's our pleasure. And it's great to have you guys there. High five your brother and both of your sisters and your mom for me too. Tell her I said
will.
Good job once again.
No
Kyle,
problem.
closing thoughts on what you guys have accomplished. I think that not only winning the race or going the furthest in the EV class, but it seems like you guys have created a lot of talk around that EV racing with what you did.
We basically just want to continue to improve, go fast, farther, and better. I think that there's a lot of advantages found in electric vehicles drives, and I think that going to get better and better. I just want to say thank you for having me on. We had a lot of fun, and look forward to going racing again.
For sure, Kyle. Thanks for being here. Caden, I think that your story is a little different. I think your trajectory is growing in the sport quite a bit with your success already, your lineage and stuff. What closing thoughts do you have leaving San Felipe?
Yeah, really just continue learning about off-road and desert racing and how to put a race together, racecraft, all that stuff.
For sure. What's your number? What's your preferred number, just out of curiosity, so I can try to get it before you can get it in the trophy trucks?
My race number?
Yeah.
Don't tell him.
16, my fan right here.
Paige is backing you up big time. Right on. Well, Caden, congratulations on all your success, and thanks for spending the time to come on today. Give your dad a noogie for me, and I think he's got it coming. Yep. And Paige, big hugs to all you guys. It's great to see the kids of off-road out there doing it. And to be totally honest with you, I get nervous sometimes because you guys are young, but then I realize you're not little kids anymore. So I got to get over that part of it. I got to get used to seeing you guys out there, and I'm really proud of both of your efforts. I think it's very cool what you guys have accomplished, and thank you guys for spending the time to jump on here for 40 minutes with us on Fishgistics.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys.
Copy. Thanks, Fish.
See you guys.
See you guys. All right, let's bring in the others here.
No commercial. We're going to go straight to it. Thank you so much to Paige, Kyle, and Caden. Very cool to hear all their stories. And looks like we've got a couple turkeys on here already. Here we go.
The best is everyone's face when they first sign on.
Yeah, they're like,
I need to do like a compilation video of that. All right.
So this segment is going to be the spec trophy truck class. We're going to talk a little bit about where the class is, the success that these three racers had at San Felipe, and I want to draw some comparisons between some of the classes, just so we can all talk a little bit about it. First of all, I wanted to welcome Jason Coleman. Jason, are you there? Hey, buddy, how are you? Jason, winner of Trophy Truck Spec at San Felipe. I also want to welcome Jordan Poole, who they had a great race. Unfortunately, missed VCP actually cost them the race. We'll get into that story a little bit later. And then maybe one of the biggest stars in our sport currently, Kyle Jurgensen, who was third place in the Trophy Truck Spec, but who has had great runs in the Trophy Truck as well. He's a Brenthal driver and has had just spectacular success. You're a second generation, right, Kyle? Was there a grandpa that raced too?
Just my pops.
Just your pops. Okay, cool. So cool to have all you guys on here. Trophy Truck Spec, for those of you that don't know, obviously is basically a trophy truck, maybe a little bit lighter, a little smaller, but a little bit less horsepower. And that's really a question. How much horsepower are you guys running? And I'll throw that to you, Jason. First of all, what do you really see the difference? Obviously the horsepower. What else is the big difference between trophy truck and trophy truck spec?
Gosh, it's hard to, they're so close now with the 40-inch tires and everything else that we got going on. The horsepower is the biggest difference. But so it really, as you know, draws on your limited background to just keep the momentum going. And you look at the overall results, it's like, shoot, man, like we're not far off for having half the horsepower. So they're pretty rad.
Is it half? What is the horsepower? 530? Is that what it is?
525, but we're somewhere in that 300 range, the wheels. So I think it's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're hearing trophy trucks having 1,200 horsepower. I guess this would be a good question for Kyle Jurgensen since he drives both of them. You know, Kyle, what's your thoughts on the differences between the classes? I mean, you obviously haul the mail in both. Is it the exact same truck with a different motor, or is there more to it than that?
With the Brenthal trucks, they are the exact same truck with a different motor. And the biggest comparison is the spec truck is more balanced, in my opinion. Is just easy to control, easier on parts, and the trophy truck's wild. You got to hold on.
I think that's a good explanation. I think you really nailed it in that for sure. Having to hold on to the reins on the trophy truck with 11 or 1,200 horsepower under your right foot is it's pretty interesting, and it definitely can tear some parts apart. I'm super impressed with what you guys have done. And Jordan, you know, we're going to start with you guys because you guys had obviously a great race. I saw Ryan at the finish line. He was elated. I know that Brock Hager was a part of your team this year, but you guys ended up missing a VCP. That one's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely still stings a little bit. I mean, I guess I understand rules are rules. Maybe we can define them a little bit more, and I'd like to hear your opinion on certain things. But yeah, it definitely when you have a race like that, that's a race everyone dreams of, right? Like it's very, very slim odds that you go out in a desert race, especially like San Felipe, and not have a problem, not have to turn a wrench, not have a flat. You know, you have a good pit stop. It's hard to get all those things to come together. So when you do, and then you know you have the result that we did, and then you find out later that it's not quite what you thought. It's definitely kicks you while you're down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. And my opinion on missing VCPs is that it sucks, and that I have done it, and I've had my hand slapped, and at times I've thought it was unjustified. But I have my justifications, and I'm sure you have yours. I don't know that we'll dig into that exactly today, but I know the VCP that you missed. I looked at it, and I know that I had to make a point to get back to it. I think what's cool about
here, Cameron, you know what? Since this is Fishgistics, it got all the good info. Let's just show you.
Oh,
here.
what?
Well, look at here, right here. You ready?
I'm ready.
Can you see it?
I see it.
All right. So the yellow flag is the VCP that VCP 69, Dan McMillan's favorite VCP, by the way. And they were going wide of it and just went right down wide of it. So they actually didn't cut the track short. They just went right by it on the outside, according to the tracker.
Does that say that they went by it going 90 miles an hour or 90 kilometers an hour?
Yes, that's what it says.
I'm going to say they missed it going pretty fast. I know the spot where he had to turn back in, and I know there's so many different lines there. I actually, Jordan, got a VCP penalty right there a couple of years ago because they had put the VCP on what used to be the the fast line. And when I got there, I think I was one of the first trucks there. There was people standing in the entrance to it. So I just stayed on the old race course. I tried to justify that. And Jose G was like, sorry.
I mean, that's kind of where we're at too. I mean, I had to pretty much put it in Ryan's head while we were pre-running that a lot of these good lines that we think are good lines pre-running may change during the race, and you're not going to know that until you get to them, right? You're not going to know who's easy ups in that line or whose chairs are now in that line. So I don't really have an excuse on the VCP. I will say that it was a very, very high traffic area. We got into a situation to where there was a lot of people, and it got to the point where you're moving. So you're racing so much faster than pre-running, right? So everything comes up that much quicker. So like, as you said, there's basically 2 to 3 entrances back onto that line. And if you don't hit the right one, you know, whether that be people involved or your mistake or this and that, I mean, it's a very touchy subject with me because as you saw the line, I mean, if anything, the way I see it is it wasn't an advantage by any means. I mean, you can definitely tell towards the end of the line, we realized that we had screwed up, and it was like trying to get back to the race course. You can see how hard the line is to get back to the course. So it's like, I understand the VCP rule, and I understand that it's very black and white. I just don't know if there's any type of wiggle room. If you actually put what was happening during the race at that point, do you bring that into the VCP? You know what I mean?
Yeah, both VCPs that I've missed are both similar situations, which didn't work out good for me. But I understand what you're saying. Kyle, I wanted to ask you on this topic. I'm sure you know the area. You're a good pre-runner. Do you think that people that are pre-running that, and I know, Jordan, you were there in the helicopter, so you saw it happen. There's obviously, when I got there, there was tracks going that direction. Like it was really beat in, Kyle. Do you think people are just pre-running and not paying attention to those VCPs, or not understanding, and they just stay straight there? Or, I mean, do you think that's something that's just the fans that make those lines? I'm sure you saw it when you got there as well.
Yeah, and it seems to be pretty common where you see the VCP in the corner, and people keep cutting it, and you have to ask yourself, do they understand that you need to make it out there to that corner? Same on the straights. I mean, you do see when people start making tracks and then they go back to the VCP and they do understand it, but that track still goes straight. That's a tricky one, but it's part of the rules, and I feel bad for Brock and Jordan. I mean, they had a killer run. They kicked my ass. They really did. And it's just a bummer to see that happened, but it happens to the best of us.
It definitely does. And speaking of the best of us, Jason Coleman cut his teeth in the limited buggies, made his way up. He talked about racing trophy trucks and decided to go spec trophy truck racing full time. Jason, congratulations on the win. I know we're talking about this VCP, but at the end of the day, you guys hauled ass and you guys were there for the win. And congratulations to you guys for a great and clean race. That is also your first spec trophy truck race in Baja, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Thank you. We're pretty stoked. I mean, I feel bad for Jordan and those guys because, I know they didn't do it intentionally. And between us and Hancock and Jurgensen, I mean, it was a solid race all day. I mean, that was probably, in my opinion, the most stacked trophy truck spec race south of the border that I've seen in years. And it was legit, like the top talent. It was pretty rad.
It is cool. How many trucks were in the class? I don't have that data right in front of me, but it seemed like there was a ton of them.
I think there was 35 or so.
Yeah, it looks like 27 finished. So about 35 or so, but 27 finishers. So that's pretty high.
Yeah. And for relevance, let's talk about it a little bit. So obviously we couldn't race our race truck. We raced our pre-runner, which has 750 horsepower, I guess, but it's a little sluggish and a little slow. So you guys actually beat us. I don't think Kyle did, but I think that Jordan and team did, as well as Jason Coleman. Where did you finish overall, Jason? Because I think you must be right there in that top 12 or 15.
We ended up 12th overall, right between Larry and Robbie. So pretty cool.
That is pretty
crazy
cool.
How high up these trucks are finishing overall.
It is for sure. And you guys beat all the class 1 cars, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, they were about half an hour behind the winning behind Bryce Menzies. So I mean, 30 minutes with half the horsepower.
No, yeah, it's good, and it's something to think about. That we were surprised that we finished 13th with I guess almost 3/4 of the horsepower. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's interesting when you start breaking down the dynamics. And I think that, Jason, you hit on it earlier. I mean, carrying that momentum, something you learn from those limited car days. How much of your 1600 car driving do you apply to helping you in the spec truck or all of your racing, so to speak? Because I know some people come into these classes, they've never raced a limited car or anything else. Do you feel that momentum that you brought from the 1600 cars and the line choices that help you?
I think sometimes I get frustrated with these guys that are new because they come in and they do really well and they don't have that experience, because you think, hey, you should have that experience. But I think some of it plays in, but I've learned over the last year that the trucks are definitely a different beast, and your line choices aren't always, you're better off with that straighter line choice than getting off in some of that, what looks like a better, smoother ride. So it's I don't know, 50-50 or something. Not as much as I thought I would bring in, but I'm sure it all plays in at some point.
For sure. Kyle, you can talk probably to that a little bit, but trying to get off on some of those little lines that you might use in a smaller vehicle is kind of hard to turn the trophy truck or the spec truck when you're hauling the mail and there's 100 yards of 3-foot deep whoops. You just kind of like point it straight ahead and go.
Right, exactly. And as we've moved up in pre-ran in Mexico, we've had different pre-runners, and most of them have been buggies. And when you're pre-running with a buggy, that line on the right that's smooth is way more ideal than the 3-foot whoops in the middle. But now we have to pre-run what we're going to do in the truck, and so you got to suck it up and go center down that road with the pre-runner, and it beats you up during pre-running, I'll tell you that.
For sure. Well, that's something that I always kind of laugh at, whether I haven't pre-ran on my bike in a while, but if I'm in, like, I went out and pre-ran in my Raptor a little bit just because, and I'm driving like straight down the bumps, right? Straight in the middle, and people are driving by on the sides, and they're just like, dude, and we got our logos all over the truck, right? So they're like, those guys are idiots. They're driving right in the big holes. I just want to like roll down the window and say, hey, we're pre-running here because the trophy truck goes 80 miles an hour right here, so it is kind of a funny dichotomy when you break it down, how you have to think about racing these unlimited trucks, which really you guys are an unlimited truck other than the power plant. So are the rules now, Jordan, you guys are the same rules for Best in the Desert as you are for SCORE? You're on the 40-inch tires. Is there an underdrive now in these trucks, or there is not?
Yeah, there's an underdrive in our spec truck. I'm pretty sure the rule is still you cannot use a SCORE 6100 engine in Best in the Desert. I'm pretty sure. I don't know how that goes, but just because I was told that you're able to get a little bit more creative with the SCORE motor. So I think Best in Desert has still kept that out. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, when you're talking part to part, I mean, I've worked on both, and you're talking part to part, we're pretty close to a trophy truck these days without the motor.
Right. And so is the end game for you guys and for Jason, are you guys going to end up going to trophy truck with your trucks, or are you guys going to stay in the spec truck class? I know it's kind of early. I mean, Jason, this is the first time you raced your spec truck in Baja, and I think it's also, Jordan, your guys' first time racing the spec truck in Baja. So the top 2 trucks, rookies to Baja Racing. So you guys are actually up for this Rookie of the Year award at the end of the year. So I guess that's a preemptive question. It might be a little bit too early to be asking that question, but just wondering if you bought the trucks thinking about that in the long run.
For me, it's right now, it's like, I mean, and this goes nothing against the trophy truck guys, but why leave the best class that is going right now in my eyes? Like, why? So let's be realistic. When we switch to trophy truck, there's 7 to 8 guys that you have to worry about every single race. And normally those 7 or 8 guys is going to win the race. Well, when you go from racing 40 spec trucks to being in contention to win, or at least our plan is to be in contention to win every race. I mean, it's hard to leave that competition, you know what I mean? And I have to be realistic to go, when we step up, that you're basically stepping up to the big leagues. Like, we're crushing it in the minors right now, but when you step up to the big leagues, it's a whole different game, no matter how much experience helps. Unless you're Kyle Jurgensen, then you can just do both and kick everyone's ass. But it's different. I definitely think we're going to step up, but right now it's hard to leave the class that you're in a driver's class and you're beating 40 trucks.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And I think there's something to be said for the spec class and the driving it takes when you all have a similar motor. I think that's a great competitive field. And I do hear what you're saying. And I think Kyle can echo this as well. There's a group of us, I say us, that, that there's some teams that really are switched on with equipment. They're pre-running, they're pitting, their logistics, organization, and their funding. And it's hard to break into that. I mean, look at, for us, for example, I mean, we raced trophy truck for a number of years, and granted, there were some other things holding us back along the way. But once we got to that group and ran in that front group, there's a big understanding of what it takes to be there. And Kyle, obviously you have that understanding of that trophy truck pace and what it takes to be there as well.
The pace is different, but it's not that far off. I would say it's really budget. The spec class is fantastic because it just doesn't take quite as much money to be competitive. And I think that's why the class is so huge. And we're having a great time. I personally have no interest in going to the trophy truck class with my own equipment because I would just have to pour a lot more concrete to pull that off. You got to live within your means is the right way to put it.
That's an
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, just the budget is to me, the budget difference is just what's, incredible. To be like these guys said, all these guys are racing right now. They're all competitive in spec truck. They're all right there, really close to each other. Even if you take these three guys right here and put them in trophy truck, the budget is just insane to be at the same level at the top. You're probably 3 or 4 times the budget. So that's what the biggest difference is, honestly, is the budget. Like the talent is just as good or better to some people in the spec class than it is in the trophy truck class, but the budget is just insane.
Yeah.
You can have 3 spec motors sitting in your shop right now, and you still don't even have 1 trophy truck motor yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can tell you that we could have used an extra trophy truck motor in San Felipe.
I know for me, I've always wanted to race a class that I could afford to run with the front, and so I've just always been realistic about where I was. My budget allowed me to do the best that we could. And so, yeah, trophy truck for me although I think our budget is close in some ways, our truck prep, this truck is the same exact truck as Tim Herbst and everybody else. So I did that so we could easily just drop a motor and go either way. But until I'm ready to kind of step up and spend the money on all the other ancillary stuff, it's not there for me yet.
So
I think a trophy truck team is spending between 1 and 2 million probably a year racing. I would have to assume, I don't know if anybody wants to say what approximately you guys are spending on a spec, but it's got to be a quarter to a half of that, I would assume.
Tremendously less for us, but I mean, everybody does it so different. The budgets are all across the board.
I think you need to give Brady a raise, Jason. Just saying.
Brady's doing awesome.
He is doing awesome. For you guys that don't know, Brady has worked on some of my trucks as well. He preps Jason's stuff full time now. So he's had great success, a lot of fun to be around. Speaking of trophy trucks, when you guys, we're going to shift gears to trophy trucks in a few minutes. What do you guys think when you see these battles? I mean, it looked like it was a pretty tight battle between Bryce and Luke, 4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive. You guys have a weigh-in on this. Jason, you have some thoughts on where the trophy trucks are going now? Speaking of budget, the 4-wheel drive is obviously going to blow the budget apart for those of us that are racing competitively in 2-wheel drive. If we make that shift, there's obviously a big change there. What do you guys think? 2 or 4-wheel drive? Is the 4-wheel drive proven enough to be there? I mean, Bryce has been making us all believers here these last couple of races, obviously. But Luke right there, I mean, 16 seconds.
And I have a hard time with this because I think the 4-wheel drive is obviously a whole lot more money, but to me, unless they're blowing the doors off by 20, 30 minutes, I have a hard time saying, hey, that's the answer. It was really cool to see Luke that right there with them. I don't know, to be honest. I don't think a lot of guys want to spend that kind of money, but it's hard to say. I don't want to see the 4-wheel drive just walk away. I like that the 2-wheel drive is still a legit weapon. Because I don't know what it does to the class. It concerns me a little bit, but I think respect kind of gives that second option if guys maybe don't want to do that. I don't know. So it's still, for me, time will tell.
What do you think, Jordan?
I'm 2-wheel drive till you die. Like I feel like, I know Luke has to drive his nuts off, but I feel like Bryce wasn't getting away from him, and that's not, Bryce is one of the best, if not the best driver, but Luke showed a lot, and I think he's got a decision to make here in a couple of weeks. I don't know what he's going to do, but I still think that 4-wheel drive is there, but I feel like 2-wheel drive is right there too. I still believe 2-wheel drive can win races.
Oh, for sure. I agree with that. Kyle, what do you think? You're a player in this trophy truck spec class. And trophy trucks, have you driven the 4-wheel drive, and what are your thoughts on it?
I haven't driven a 4-wheel drive yet. They look cool. I know Brenthal's building one, so maybe they'll let me poke around with it a little bit. Maybe. But I'm going to have to be team 2-wheel drive because that's just what I get to play with. So
Do you guys think we're going to see 4-wheel drives in the 6100 class or no?
I don't think it's legal, is it?
Well, it's not legal, but
definitely not.
We don't need it.
But would you? Yeah. So are you guys all against it?
I would be.
Okay.
More power to you if you want to try it, but we're not trying it. And I just think you don't have the power in my eyes to try and spin the other two. I don't see, unless they make the motors bigger. That's the only way that you're going to start talking about that, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, if they start making the motors bigger, they may as well be trophy trucks.
That's
Right.
They are.
where we're at.
Do you guys rebuild the motors or you just buy new ones?
Just buy new ones.
We just buy new ones.
Yep.
That's what's
Nice.
cool. You get a brand new motor every time. You don't have to rebuild it.
What's it cost, Kyle? What does it cost to buy a new motor?
About 10 with no accessories, but it's a brand new motor. That's nice.
That's cheaper than a trophy truck rebuild motor.
Right. Right.
For sure. You could
And
get
it
3
goes-
trophy truck rebuild motors sometimes, or 1 rebuild for 3 motors almost.
Right. Right. And then the powertrain. I mean, third members, transmissions, they really go all season. Now, do we leave them in all season? No, we do a full prep, but every time we pull them out, they say, dude, why are you sending me this kind of thing?
Yeah. Looks brand new.
Right. Yeah.
You know, well, tons of respect for you guys. I think you guys have all been doing a great job. I think that the spec class is something fun for all of us to watch. You know, I think that your competition and the way you guys drive them is fun. I like to watch the videos of the spec trucks and see, you know, how each guy carries their momentum and what they do. So it's definitely of interest to me. What's next for each one of you guys? So we'll start with Jordan and the Alexander Ford team over there.
You know, I'm not sure. This is a little bit of a topic I was going to bring just to get your attention on it and see what you thought. But the whole San Felipe deal, I mean, we went down, we pre-ran for 9 days, and it was Ryan's first Mexico race. He's been down there racing before, or watching before, but never racing. And I learned from, you know, you and Josh Daniel and, you know, some of the best guys you got to put in the work pre-running in order to win the race. That's where you win the race. And, you know, we were full ahead of the 500, but, you know, I wanted to get your opinion and see. The major blowout for us was it ain't about the race anymore. It's not about who won. It's not about who lost. VCP's this, VCP that. I want to get to a certain point and figure out what you think. So at the finish line, you know, we finish, and I think we're 7-8 minutes ahead of the next truck. And, you know, I want to know what you think as far as why are you told, sorry about that. Why are you told at the finish line, and, you know, you're given all your bottles of champagne, and you're given your medals and your hats and all this stuff. And to have it turn out to where we thought we won for 12 hours, this and that and the other. And then we didn't win. We didn't get a phone call. We didn't get anything. And I'm like, in Ryan's defense, it's like, you know, I know how much money he spent to get on there. It's a lot like all these guys spend. And I feel like to find out on the internet that you didn't win is kind of like, it's bogus to me. It's like, he deserves a phone call. He deserves to know why he didn't win after a performance like that. And you got to understand, it's the dude's first Mexico race. He was ecstatic. He put in the time to get the result that we got. And it's just, I understand rules are rules, but I want to know, like, you know, certain things have happened in the past where they've had to take drivers off the roofs, you know, getting ready to spray champagne. You know, hey, you didn't actually win. I believe it happened to Sarah Price either last year or 2 years ago, where she won all night and then woke up and didn't win. And it's just like, that's the hard part that we're dealing with right now, is it's trying to figure out, like, well, how do I pump my driver and my team owner up? And he's not even getting a phone call from SCORE to let him know what happened. We have to find out on Fishgistics the next day at breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally
understand. After a while,
I understand, and I can see how you'd feel the disrespect in that. I think in SCORE's defense, if they call one person to explain why they got a penalty, then they've got to call all like 80 or whatever they are, I guess.
I agree, but I'm asking for maybe the top 3 in every class. That's important.
Why can't we review VCPs right then at the finish?
Yeah,
Like,
that right there.
3,
That,
5.
I think that needs to happen. I think
exactly.
they need to figure out how to do the VCPs as soon as you finish. Like, have 1 or 2 people there at the finish line. You come in, you're in line, they grab the tracker, they go to the room right there, they look, oh, sorry, you missed a VCP.
They don't even,
so you know.
I can tell you, having raced with a rally comp before, I raced Baja Rally a couple times, and Mike Johnson, who's a racer, came up with a system called Rally Comp. I think it's about this big, And when we got to the finish line, he just scanned it and it told him exactly if we sped on the highway instantly. And it told us that if we had a penalty or whatever right there. And I don't know if it's a perfect system, but I totally sympathize with that. I think one thing that has to happen, if we can make it happen, is to get those results right away. And I understand that maybe using a smaller unit like that doesn't give you the safety or push to pass or some of the other things that the Stella has, because the Stella has tons of other options. And maybe there's a hybrid there to try to figure that out. I don't have the exact answers, but I think if you could pull up to the finish line and have it scanned right there, and they say, oh, you missed it, or you did this or whatever, I think that it's much better than having that celebration. And I think that
but even the celebration isn't that fun because you're worried, hey, did something happen? When I won the 500 a bunch of years ago, I was like, I don't know, it's not official till tomorrow. I had to go find and see. And I ended up getting a speeding penalty, still had enough time to win, but it's sort of exciting, but you're also worried.
Yeah.
Well, and at the same time, it's, like for you, and for instance, Jason, you would have been stoked to know at the race you won, because then that night you guys would have gone out and you would have partied. And then Jordan is the same thing. You guys wouldn't have been as bummed because you went out, you party, you think you won, and then the next morning you're like, oh, sorry, you didn't win. So it's not just the guy that's winning that it's kind of screwing. It's kind of the guy that did win also not being able to celebrate it at the time.
Well, for sure. And I've been on the other side of that. We won the Baja 1000 because there was a penalty. And they're like, here's the champagne. And I'm like, I'm standing there. I'm like going, dude, I'm totally gonna I'm gonna get up here and I'm, my opinion, I'm gonna diss Rob McCachran, right? Because he's right there. And then I'm gonna do this. And then what happens when we go to the CRB in the morning? Because there is a CRB. If I'm not sure if it's in effect right now, but there's a meeting where you can bring that case, right? And so you're just like, I understand it's so hard to digest, right? And everybody wants you to give a quote, right? And so do you give a quote like my dad's riding in the back in his ashes, right? Do I tell this? Do I talk about all this stuff? Or is it just almost impossible for me to speak because my dad's riding back there and I'm not sure if we really won and what happened over there? I saw them with champagne too. It's like, head explosion.
I think it's not only lame for us, but it's also lame for Jason. Like he said, it's harder because you put in all with a brand new driver going to Mexico. That doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Now Jason was in the position to capitalize, and that's great for him. That's all congrats. But it doesn't happen normally where you have a brand new driver come to Mexico, spend the time and the money that he did, have the performance that he did, and you don't even give him a phone. That's just, I would rather not celebrate at the finish, because not only is it not fair to us, it's not fair to Jason. It's not fair to anyone. And it's like, so going back to what you just said, Cameron, as far as when Rob Mack got his penalty, well, they were able to do that right there at the finish line and potentially give you the win. So what's the difference? It's not like I'm just talking about this is the first time this has happened with SCORE. There's multiple times where people have thought they've won and they really didn't win. So at what point, until you start driving racers away, do you go, how do we fix this? I'm not asking to check on 8th place tracker to see whether he got, a penalty. Your top 3 drivers are there at the finish line. Let's figure it out right now. I'll stay here an extra hour. You know what I mean? What is it going to take? And I know it's hard to bring the confidence back to someone when they've been kicked like that, to be honest.
I totally understand. And I should mention that my situation totally different because it wouldn't have been decided by tracker. That's something that a race marshal had to decide, but I understand what you're saying. And I think we're digressing a little bit. I understand. To go to
the next segment too soon, Cameron.
Yeah, we're gonna jump to the trophy trucks, but I do want to say that I have a lot of respect for the effort you guys put in. You and Ryan and Brock, obviously Jason, you and Brady put in a great effort, and Kyle, you and the Brenthal boys did a great job. And I think that this is definitely a topic that should be discussed, and I think there's a way to figure it out. Maybe the answer is to run 2 separate units, something that can do timing and scoring instantly, and something else that can do the push to pass and safety. I'm totally good with all that. I don't want to micromanage what SCORE does either, because I know that Jose G and through the entire group, they're trying to do the best that they can. I don't think they want anybody to be, butt sore at the end or have a mistake or whatever. it's definitely not their intention. And I will say that I think Jose G is a great race director. And I think that if there's a way to figure out, he will figure it out. So let's send him some ideas. I'll send him the idea about the rally comp also. And we'll go from there. But you guys, congratulations on a great race. Closing thoughts real quick from each one of you. We'll start with you, Kyle.
I'm looking forward to the 500, and I hope Brock and Jordan do come. They're fierce competitors, and they're so fast. And looking forward to hunting Jason down. Right.
I like that, Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan, in closing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see us in the future somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be yet. Hopefully we can figure out some things and get some good ideas to score, and then maybe that'll put some fire back in ourselves.
For sure. I think that's a good point. Get back out there and get at it. But I understand the feeling right now. And Jason, congratulations once again. Spec Trophy Truck winner, first Baja race in the Spec Truck class. Congratulations. Closing thought before we go to the Trophy Truck turkeys.
Yeah, thanks. I'm stoked to get out there. I'm looking forward to the 500. We weren't planning to run this whole series, but here we are. Now we're in it. So looking to battle with you, Kyle, and hopefully see you guys, Brock and Ryan down there sometime soon.
Right on, Jason. Well, thank you all. Trophy Truck Spec segment shutting down. Next up, Trophy Trucks. Oh boy, this is going to be a big hitter lineup. I'm excited about this. We'll get the straight dirt on what happened at the race and everybody's feelings and how it went for them. Fish, what'd you think? I think there's a little bit of some lingering pieces there for sure.
Yeah. There's some stuff to talk about. It brings up some good points. Like I said, that you got to know what the finish line, if these guys won, we got to figure out how to do that. Because you can't have guys, going overnight thinking they won a race. Like we gotta figure that out. I think hopefully, SCORE probably wants to figure that out too. So hopefully we can figure something out. There we go. Look at that. We got all the Trophy Truck guys here now.
Is that all of them?
That's all of them. Some of them are muted. They got to unmute themselves.
Unmute yourselves, guys. Welcome to Fishgistics. We've been talking.
Check.
Yeah. Whoa. Check. Check the mic. Golden Gate Bridge in the background. Andy's traveling today, it looks like.
Yeah. You guys have their backgrounds. Look at Luke and Bryce and Jax.
Yeah,
look at Cameron.
Yeah, look, we're working it. I got some other backgrounds if you want. I can bring something else in for you.
I was gonna do. There was one that was like the green lights.
There we go.
Like the northern lights. But I thought that would be too distracting because it was kind of moving in the background.
That's pretty distracting right there. It's a beautiful sunrise over San Francisco. But hey, welcome everybody. The BF Goodrich Tires 34th annual SCORE San Felipe 250 has taken place. We've talked some of the other classes. We just got done with the Trophy Truck Specs. I'm not sure if you Trophy Truck turkeys were listening in on that, but welcome to the show. And we have the top 5 Trophy Truck guys. It's pretty cool to be able to have all you guys on here. We're planning to spend an hour here. Well, top 5 and 13th, in case you guys were wondering. I know you're feeling bad for me out there. But 5th place at San Felipe, Jax Redline. Jax, welcome to the show, buddy.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Is this your first Fishgistics experience?
Yeah, first San Felipe, first Fishgistics, everything.
Don't worry, we will abuse you properly as we move along. Welcome to 4th place in San Felipe, one of the legendary family names in Baja, Alan Ampudia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Are you coming from Papa's and Beer, the race shop? Where are you today?
I'm at our office here in Cali.
Gotcha. Right on. Also, welcome 3rd place in the San Felipe 250, one of our heroes of the sport, Andy McMillan. Hi, buddy.
How are you doing? Good to see you guys. Good to be here.
Good to be seen. We're going to be dishing out some fun here. Of course, I know it's crushing losing by 16 seconds, but that is a good number, Luke. I just wanted to say welcome 2nd place at San Felipe 250, Luke McMillan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. And real quick, I'll answer the last 10 minutes of the 6100 talk. You can check your Stella at the finish line that you hit all the VCPs. Boom, done. It can happen. So,
wow. There you go. So you can just push a button and check it.
Yep. I don't know the exact button, but Duncan does it every race. He goes, "Yeah, we got him." So
Duncan's good for something after all.
Yeah. So there you go. Fun fact of the day. You can check your own Stella.
There you go. I always yell at Cody to make sure that we clicked each VCP. And if we don't, it's his fault for sure. And welcome, of course, drum roll, ladies and gentlemen, and a big round of applause for your San Felipe 250 winner, Mr. Bryce Menzies. Welcome to the Fishgistics, buddy.
What's happening, guys? Thanks for having me on.
We're stoked to have you. You all right over there?
All good. Chill.
Right on. It's pretty cool to see the battle go down. It's weird being way back in the race and not being able to see what's happening in the front or listen, but still kind of funny that you can tell and hear and kind of see what's going on out there. And I wanted to ask you guys, there's been so much debate, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. I know this is going to be a hotly contested question. Bryce, you've raced them both. You used to race the truck that I'm racing right now. And obviously Luke was keeping you honest. I'm not sure if you had any problems or, flat tire or whatever, mechanical, but damn, that is some close racing. And he definitely kept you thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like Luke's at the top of every race nowadays. So it was one of those races where it was super fast. We only had one flat tire, which we actually got changed in the pit. So got super lucky. I think something went out in the front diff towards the end. But other than that, we had a clean race and it was hard managing 20 seconds all the way to the finish and also not clipping a rock, but also keeping it at that gap and not losing the race. So it was tough. It was one of the funnest races I've had because we were on the gas. I had Orrin on the notes the whole time, pushing as hard as he could. So Luke made it fun for us, and it's always fun to race to the finish line like that.
Do you think my feeling was, and Luke, maybe you can weigh in on this a little bit. My feeling was when I saw the race course, it wasn't really completely traditional San Felipe. And I was kind of feeling, hey, damn, these 4-wheel drives got a little bit of an advantage here, especially with some of these lines. Luke, but it ended up getting pretty rough, huh, Luke?
Yeah, no, it was super rough. I would say, I kind of think it was a traditional San Felipe. The fact that we stayed south of Highway 3, I think makes it traditional. All those washes are traditional. Portocitas Road, the K159 bumps. But yeah, when I looked at the course, two things go through my mind because everyone's asked me about the all-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive and oh, you only got beat by 16 seconds. Go back for the 500. And not to float my own boat, but I've always excelled down in the San Felipe Desert, doing a lot of pre-running. But I was worried about how much soft sand there was, sand wash. And honestly, at one point when Andy's dust cleared, because he pulled over with a flat, the dust cleared up ahead of me. And I literally was like, oh, there they go. That's it. And I kind of was bummed until I got to my next spotter who was like, no, you're second on the road and a minute and a half down. So I was leading on time. And so the wind was back in my sails. But we definitely pushed really hard all day.
For sure. And I think that all of you guys did. Andy, on this 4-wheel drive conversation, I mean, especially some of those new sections had some pretty soft stuff, especially when all these creative routes came to be towards the end. It seemed a little bit soft out there. What's your feeling? You think this 4-wheel drive thing's taken off, or you still we're not sure all the way? I know you feel pretty sure because you're in the 4-wheel drive, but just asking for an honest answer if you think the changing of the tide is happening in front of us.
I was a 4-wheel drive hater, just like I used to be a trophy truck hater when I was racing Class 1 buggies. I wanted that to be the best class, obviously. And I was a hater on the all-wheel drive until the 2019 500, when me and Luke were running up front and Bryce was third on the road and came over Mike's and in his Huseman. So not apples to apples. And I was out front. Luke had put some time on me over the Mike's loop, and he was leading on time coming out to the beach by 30 seconds, 45 seconds, something under a minute. So we were running close, and then I started running hard up the beach, and I got to one of my pit guys, and my main pit was over there at like mile 345 by the shipwreck. And I left there, and it wasn't too much long after I left, and they said, hey, Luke is, got you by 45 or a minute or whatever. And then Bryce is 3 minutes or 2 minutes or something. And I said, no, what? He was like 16 minutes at Mike's Road before we went over the Mike's Loop. And I was like, dude, all-wheel drive, it's on. So Bryce kind of forced our hand, and, one of the best drivers, if not the fastest driver in our sport. So I can't let him get away too easily. Obviously, extremely impressed with Luke's run at San Felipe and how close he was able to keep it. I mean, I was unfortunately I was down early, so I was just kind of getting time updates throughout the run. And toward the end, they kind of told me where Luke was, and it was like 30 or 40 miles to go, and he was like 30 or 40 seconds behind Bryce. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to be gnarly. And then coming into the finish, my dad was like 10 miles from the finish, and he's like, Luke is only 15 or 18 seconds behind Bryce. And there was like 10 miles ago. I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Yeah, it was actually fun being in the truck, not like knowing what was going on up in front of me, but not being in it was kind of lame. But no, super stoked for those guys. They had a great run.
I'm just going to ask this question one time, Luke. Had you come out of that speed zone and turned right and stayed in those big bumps all the way to the pole line and then turned left in those big bumps all the way to the finish line, do you think you would have had more advantage than racing those sidelines that we had to race through? Do you think it would have been a better race for you? Just honestly asking if it would have stayed in the big bumps.
You're talking about coming in from K159 if we stayed in the bumps traditional way.
Correct.
I think it would have been a different story for one reason. Bryce at the finish line told me, he goes, man, I had like 5 or 10 gallons left and my truck was just boom, 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 hiking up. So that would have helped. I felt like I had my lines dialed coming in the last 10 or 15 miles and all those sidelines that, we all knew it was going to happen. Andy and I were pre-running all week and I said, well, I don't want to pre-run on Friday, but I'm going to go have to see what people do out, VCP to VCP. So I don't really know. I know Bryce was light on fuel, so his truck wasn't working great. And I knew, I had done some testing down in San Felipe, and those K159 bumps is something we always race. So I actually, when I went out testing, I had a fully prepped truck and I said, I'm going to try to break this thing. And we went down those K159 bumps, I think at 112, 114 miles an hour. And so I don't know, maybe if we stayed on the bumps, it would have helped, but I don't think it's because of two-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive. I think, to be honest, I think the all-wheel drive has an advantage everywhere.
Copy. Speaking of Andy, I think mentioning the fastest driver in our sport, I'll definitely say that one of the fastest drivers, and definitely always looks good on video, Alan Ampudia. You had a pretty good run going, and I'm not sure what exactly happened to put you back a little bit, but it seems like you guys were having a good race all day long.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I started off fourth. I knew the 3 guys in front of me were gonna keep up a really good pace all day long, and yeah, I think I just got a little excited there at the beginning. Mile like 10, I clipped a rock. Fully my fault. There's a video of it on YouTube, and all the guys are like cruising through it, and I'm just going so fast. Like it was stupid of me, but you live and you learn. Our jack actually didn't work. Didn't have any air in it, the one that we went out and used, and unfortunately it took us like over 2.5 minutes to change that tire with my brother Aaron's help. So it was like one of those that just like, oh man, I was hoping Robbie was holding up our Sierra by then, and right when we were ready to go, they both blew by, and I was just like, oh man, that's the last thing I wanted, and yeah, I just got stuck behind them till mile like 80 right before Baja Pits. Was able to get around Robbie. He had a flat, and our Sierra was pulled off way before that as well, but yeah, Tabo had me by like 4 minutes, I think, then, and just try to put my head down, catch up to him, and got held behind him. He ran out of gas actually right before both our pits, and was able to get by him there. He was like literally 200 feet from his pit and ran out of fuel. So kind of felt bad for him, but it worked out for me. I was able to get around him then. And yeah, by then I thought they told me Andy was like 12 minutes in front of me, but I guess it was Bryce. But I was like, oh man, this is over. Like, I'm just going to try to drive as fast as I can, see if I can make up some time. But I didn't. I mean, I think Andy gapped me like 20 seconds from 140 to 200, and then just kind of kept pace. My truck started hitting up in the lake bed, and I was just like, look, we're 4th place. Tavo is like, I don't know, 10 minutes behind. And we're not keeping track of Jax because he started in 10th. And so I was like, look, let's just take care of the truck. It's the same engine as 1,000. Let's just bring it home, get a good starting spot for the 500. And then when we're almost at the finish, they're like, Jax is 45 seconds behind you and corrected time. I'm like, what the hell, guys? You guys should have told me there's like 200 miles before this. So I just started pushing to the finish, and we were able to get in front of him. But yeah, it was a good race. Just that one little mistake nowadays takes you basically out of contention for the win. But like Andy said, it was fun watching all the Bryce and Andy battle. It sucks that we weren't in it to give them, a run for their money as well, but we'll be back for the 500.
Right on. Well, you mentioned his name. I mean, we got the Menzies, we got the Ampudias, we got McMillans, and we got Redline. The new kid. What's up, Jax? Welcome to the top 5 club in the trophy truck world. Congratulations on a solid finish. 16 years old, right?
Yes. Yeah, pretty wild. I mean, Alan's definitely been a guy I'd always look up to, and like just see his pace is insane to be like whatever 9 seconds, and then 9 seconds of speeding penalties to be that close. I was definitely pushing all day, but to be that close is just mind blowing.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have been working pretty hard at it. Obviously, we've spent a little bit of time talking with your dad and stuff like that, and see you out pre-running and doing your homework. Seems like it's paying off pretty quickly for you.
Yeah, for sure. My co-driver, Brian Hansen, and I, we put in 2,000 miles total. So it was pretty wicked. We had just about every line. I don't know how we could have missed anything, but definitely putting in the homework and making everything come together. It's been good.
16 years old. Where do you come from? What type of racing do you have a moto background, a kart background?
Yeah. So, I mean, ambulance. So, I mean, dirt bikes. I started racing dirt bikes when I was 2.5 years old. I was at Loretta Lynn's, Tennessee's 5th fastest 50 or 6-year-old on a 50cc dirt bike in Loretta Lynn's in Tennessee. Then we did go-kart racing, dirt track stuff. I mean, QRC karts, modified, sprint cars, mini sprints, and then UTV racing. And then it was a Polaris Razor, and then a Can-Am, and then, spec truck, trophy truck, and now we're here.
Yeah, now we're here with the heroes in the top 5. Congratulations, buddy. It's got to be a little bit surreal. Bryce, you can think back to when you were that little rat coming in, right? Cutting your teeth.
I don't even know if I was racing yet.
I didn't mean to call you a little rat either, Jax. I'm just saying, you remember being a young guy, right? And coming in and just new to the sport. It must be pretty crazy to see this youngster come into the trophy truck class like that.
No, it's awesome to see, and that's what's really cool is seeing this sport keep growing and seeing the kids come up from when I was first getting into trophy trucks, and now you look at Jackson, Alan, and a lot of the guys coming up in the field, which Alan's already won a ball 1,000, which I haven't even done yet. So it's just awesome to see new families, younger people coming into the sport and keeping our sport going.
I have to agree. And I do have to give Jax a little bit of props here, because all the years I've been following racing, there's been a lot of people that have come in young, and a lot of them have come in and just destroyed their equipment. They come in and they just floor it, and they're super fast from the first 5 miles, and they wad it up, and their dad buys them a new trophy truck and they wad it up and so on. But Jax hasn't done that. And I think we just heard why, because he actually has raced a bunch of other stuff with experience before. So good job, Jax, not completely wadding it up. Hopefully I didn't jinx you for the 500.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I think I know the McMillan boys started at this age. Bryce, what age were you when you started racing off road? You were pretty young yourself.
Yeah, I was young on dirt bikes. I started when I was 3 or 4, but then off road cars, I was 17 when I first started racing short course. So a little bit older, but it's cool to see him start from. That's what I always said was I think that helped me the most was starting from a 1600 car, single buggy in short course, and then into a pro light and then a pro 2, and worked your way up. You got to learn momentum. Riding dirt bikes, I think, really helped me as well. So it's cool to see another young kid coming into the sport and having that knowledge and background, and you could see why he's doing so good. He's putting in the homework. You got to go out there. You got to pre-run. Takes a lot of time and effort. So it's cool that it shows it's paying off.
Yeah, and it's been paying off for you. Back-to-back wins. It's got to feel pretty nice to start off the season like that. Anything you guys have changed this year? I mean, obviously you've been running in the front and winning races, but now winning, consecutive big races. It's a pretty big accomplishment, obviously, with the field of these 4 guys right behind you and the rest of us, trying to nip at your heels.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is honestly prep work at the shop. The guys have been doing a really good job. We have a great group of guys that really get along. They have a lot of fun, and just trying to make racing kind of more fun. I got to the point where I took it way too serious, and if I had a bad race, I would be depressed for a month until my next race. And I think, you know, having a child, having a daughter, and putting everything into perspective has really helped me grow as a dad. And then also in my racing career has helped me, you know, slow down and take those steps and not beat myself up, but also enjoy it. And I think that shows in my whole team, and as well as, you know, my results.
For sure. Plus your dad has to hold the grandbaby at the races now, right? Just like Andy's Scott's got to hold the babies, right, at the races, or are they too big to hold now?
They're getting bigger, man. My daughter's almost 7. My son just turned 3. Holding him is a nightmare. He won't sit still. You know, he's on his stay sick out front, trying to pop wheelies. He's an animal. He's going to be nipping at my heels here pretty soon.
Do you think the family life, like Bryce is talking about, has helped with the focus, or do you think it makes it harder to focus?
You know, I think at first for me, when I had one kid, it was a little bit different. And at that point, when I had my daughter, I wasn't racing my own team. I was racing with Rob at some of the races and helping him out. When I had my son, it was a little bit more difficult, just time away from the family. And, you know, I just, 2 kids compared to 1, you know, the second one's not gonna be the same as the first. So if your daughter's awesome right now, Bryce, and nice and calm and not crazy, the next one will be the opposite. So just get ready for that. But there's definitely going from 1 to 2.
Yeah, and if you have 2, it's not twice as hard; it's 10 times as hard, right?
Yeah, and just leaving my wife at home with the kids. And like I knew, like actually, my son was born in March, 2 days after my wife's birthday, and the San Felipe race that year was like a week later. And my dad went down and pre-ran a couple days. I flew down Friday morning early, did 1 full lap of the course in 2018, raced Saturday, and then flew home after the race just because my son was like a week old or a week and a half old or something. So, but now it's actually a lot better than it was when he was a newborn. I mean, he's in preschool and stuff, and so my wife has some more free time throughout the day. But it definitely gives you a different perspective on things, and you know, it pushes me and makes me want to be a better person, a better dad, because you know, you're leading by example for these kids, and you want them to know about hard work and discipline and never giving up, and you know, if you try something, just see it through, and yeah, so that's what I'm trying to instill in my kids, and hopefully they'll take some of it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're enjoying being there. Luke, you grew up underneath your dad and your grandpa's wing, just like Andy did. It's got to be cool to be able to see your cousin with his kids at the races, huh?
Yeah, for sure. It's another generation coming in. I was talking to Viva about that at San Felipe. I said, well, talk about our racing a lot, but what's the plan for Hudson? So that's going to be exciting. And no kids for me yet, but it's probably getting sooner than later, probably coming up pretty quick. So yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that, you know, having a kid and teaching them how to drive and all that stuff. It shifts the focus from you down to them. So it's a whole new ball game.
For sure. Alan's over there going, I don't know about this kid thing. I'm going racing. And Jax is over there going,
Jax is a kid.
What are these old guys talking about?
Yeah,
We're talking about racing, not family. Gee whiz. But Alan, you guys have a long family history in the sport, and you guys have worked your way to the trophy truck class. And I think it was Bryce that mentioned winning the Baja 1000. It's got to be the greatest feeling to be able to bring that to your family. And it's been interesting to see the progression of your family's racing. And is it sometimes the 3 of you guys get in the car? I see Rodrigo in the Can-Am sometimes it's just you. It's interesting how your dad and you guys are strategizing over there. What's really going on?
Well, I mean, with COVID and everything, you know, the businesses were down drastically, and right now everything's starting to pick back up. So we had a couple of events, and somebody had to hold the fort down. So, you know, Aaron had to be there, and he was like, I can't really be in the desert with no phone service all day for 2 weeks and, you know, take the time off work. And I, you know, it's fine. You know, I'll race another race, and, you know, we got to first take care of our business at the end of the day. And yeah, that's basically why Aaron didn't race. And Rodrigo, obviously, with short course being, you know, out right now and the new series starting to pick it back up, he's just kind of waiting to see where that goes. and see if sponsors want to step up and help him out, go back out racing short course. But he got a good deal with Can-Am, and he's going to start doing that and doing a lot of fab work for, building cages and stuff like that and in the Can-Am UTV industry. So he's got a lot going on, and that's why he wanted to go racing Can-Ams. And I told him he's freaking crazy because I barely wanted to do it in the trophy truck. That did not sound like anything fun in a Can-Am, or anything smaller than the trophy truck. But yeah, I mean, the dynamic's cool. I mean, we all just kind of go with what we're doing. I never, I love doing it with my family. It's something we've always done together. So I was bummed that I wasn't sharing driving duties with my brother Aaron, but by any means, I did not, I didn't mind driving more miles in my trophy truck. So yeah, I mean, it's just a cool dynamic. It's cool to being able to do that with my brothers and, just keep on doing what we do.
Well, tying it all
I had
together.
a question on pre-running real quick, because he just mentioned pre-running. Bryce, how many miles do you have on your pre-runner realistically? Because I know you had a problem with it now, but how many miles do you think you have on that thing? Just curious.
Just from San Felipe or in general?
No, total on its pre-runner total.
We were thinking 150 to 175,000, maybe 200,000. I don't know. There's a lot
of miles.
Crazy.
We don't ever really trailer them. We drive them on the roads, when we're down there. So we put a lot of miles on them.
Yeah. Well, Luke, Andy, what do you guys have on your pre-runners? Any idea how many miles you guys have on yours?
I don't know the total, but I think it's up there with Bryce's. I mean, it's over 100,000 miles. I've had my pre-runner since 2012, 2013, and Hera didn't put many miles on it, but they get beat up. They're 7,000 pounds, and they're just, we beat the heck out of them. So we talk about them now, but they've been through a lot for sure.
Speaking of pre-runners and mileage, my pre-runner started life in 1999. I bet it's raced 100,000 miles. Just saying.
I love that truck when it first came out. I think I was at that Laughlin. Did it race 99? I think it was 2000 Laughlin was its first race.
Yeah, one of those. I think 2000 Laughlin built the 99.
Yeah, because he was leading on day one over the Truggy, and at the time, no one was beating a Truggy, and with Troy driving, and that was next level. I remember that thing. It's pretty awesome.
Of course, Andy remembers what position he was in what year and what race.
He's like an encyclopedia of off-road racing. Hey, dads are a big part of this thing, and all of you guys are fortunate to have your fathers with you and big into it. Rodrigo, back to you really quick. Your dad has a ton of energy, and I know he's got to be spooled up when you're in fourth place. He's stoked, but at the same time, he's trying to figure out what exactly he's got to do to help you get to first. Your dad might have the best energy of everybody at the races.
Yeah, we have to keep him off the freaking coffee.
Did I call you Rodrigo? Alan, sorry.
Yeah, but it's okay. Even my mom, everyone confuses us. So it's okay. But yeah, so my dad, yeah, he's a handful, but I love him to death. I mean, he does a lot for us on and off the course, and yeah, he actually doesn't like us to go that fast. Every time he's like, hey, take care of the car. But I'm like, Dad, no, like, I'm sorry, we're racing. Like, we have to go fast if we want to beat him. And actually, towards the end, he didn't want to tell me how far Andy was. Because if I would have known he was 1:30 in front of me, I would have tried to freaking go for it, try to get that podium spot. But he was like, no, don't tell him. Just let him finish. Let him keep it nice and easy. So, yeah, it's just, he likes taking care of his toys and, taking care of us at the end of the day. But we'll work around that little kink and get all the right times.
For sure. And Jax, we're going to be riding dirt bikes with your dad. I know he's big into it. He's a big supporter of yours. He's also a lot of fun to be around. I'm sure you guys have a good time out there.
Man, I need to get out there and ride some dirt bikes with you guys. I've been missing out.
Jax's dad just got to keep his helicopter a little higher, I think.
Yeah, we learned that mistake. That won't be happening again.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody's done it, us included, so I just live and learn, right?
Still learning all of it.
Let's talk about really quickly. We were talking about you guys with the spec guys a little bit. What's your guys' take on what's happening with the spec class and the even field, so to speak? Maybe we'll start with you, Luke. I mean, you have a pretty good perspective of it coming up through the classes, but where are you at with the missed VCP and just the level of the racing over there?
I mean, the spec class looks great. You know, to me, it's all about competition, and they got a lot of trucks there. I didn't catch the whole spec segment, so I'm not exactly sure what everyone said and stuff. And nothing against, you know, Ryan Hancock and Jordan Poole. I agree with everything he said, but kind of like I said when I first got on the show, you can check your VCPs at the finish. Well, a few things. Jordan Poole is totally right. SCORE needs to have the answers right then and there. Speeding, VCPs, it's not that hard to figure out. You know, if a video pops up later on of you doing something terrible on the highway, that's something to deal with, you know, maybe 12 hours after a race, but or whatever that window is that you have to file for a protest. But VCPs, speed zones have to be dealt with at the finish line. They're fully capable of doing that. And it doesn't matter if you miss a VCP by 2 feet or 100 feet or a quarter mile, you have to hit the VCPs. And I know that was Ryan's first race in Baja. And of course he didn't intentionally miss it, but I totally agree. It should have been dealt with sooner. But at the same time, I think they did make the right call. You know, a penalty is a penalty.
For sure. And Bryce, where are you at on what's been happening with spec? You think we're going to see some of these drivers coming up into our class that come wage battle with us? It didn't sound like any one of those guys were super interested in moving their program that way. Although we all know Kyle Jurgensen is a hell of a driver and has already done quite great battle with all of us.
Yeah, I think what they've done with that class is it's huge. I mean, like they were kind of talking about the budget from 6100 or spec truck to trophy truck is probably, you know, ginormous. So to have a class where everybody knows it's fair and can run all the same stuff and be very competitive, it honestly looks like a blast. There's 20, 30 trucks that are battling it out. So it's cool to see a class like that taking off during you know, tough times in the world, and hopefully some of those guys step up to the trophy truck class, and then obviously they'll be battling with us for championships like they're doing down there right now.
For sure. Do you think, Andy, that we're going to ever have a 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive class in trophy truck?
I hope not. But what I was going to say was I feel like it's a really good case study what's going on with the spec trophy truck class. You know, you have all these guys who have a legitimate shot at winning the race. And at the end of the day, that's what fans and people want to see is battles. You know, in our class at San Felipe, yeah, it was awesome watching Bryce and Luke battle. But beyond that, it was kind of lackluster, a little boring. You know what I mean? I was in third place, but I forget how many, 7, 8, 9 minutes back. I forget. But it's just like, it loses its, you know, pizzazz and it loses interest. Whereas if that's where I really see the future of our sport going, is I see the trophy truck class not being a trophy truck class. I see it being more something that is more spec based. Not saying I want 700 horsepower engines and 37-inch tires, but I really do think for the growth of our sport and for budget wise and sponsorship levels and the levels that companies are currently putting their marketing dollars toward our sport, it needs a more level playing field, and it needs to be more of a driver's class. I mean, the budgets will still be there. You can still spend your money to get the best equipment and the best parts. But if the playing field was more even spread from the top level guy to the guy getting 20th place or 25th place, for me, if I wasn't even racing anymore, I would tune in all the time to watch that race. You know, right now, tuning in to watch 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys try and go after a win. And not to mention, you know, with how crappy the qualifying course was, they could be spread between 1st and 18th place. That's not a show. It's not interesting for me, and I'm one of the biggest fans out there in the sport. So I just think that in the next 4 or 5 years, something needs to change if we want our sport to keep growing to the masses.
I think that's a good point. I thought that they did a great job on the race course, even though initially I had my hesitation, but I like you, was not a fan of the qualifying course. Andy. I don't.
I think
didn't-
Alan really liked the qualifying course. It looked like he had a lot of fun on that course.
I don't think anybody liked the qualifying course. I mean,
my motor didn't like it.
Yeah, the pre-run lap was actually worse than the run. Like, it was horrible. I think because the 6100s and the class ones were kind of bouncing off the walls and not really going straight. It was horrible. It was not fun. And we knew going in, like, it was not going to be anything close to beating Bryce or Andy, 4x4. So I watched the GoPro put mine with Bryce's, and just a back straight, he got me like 6 seconds. Like, it's like there's so much desert out there where they can do a qualifying loop where it's like more even and fun for everyone. Like, that was not enjoyable. Like, I was holding on for dear life half of the time. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw my video where I biked it, almost went over. And I mean, that's what it took to try to be up front and be in the front pack, because there were so many 4-wheel drives this race that I was like, if half of them do a decent lap, I'm going to be in 10th place and have like a flying lap. Like, that's not fun, at the end of the day.
Do you guys think it's at the point now where you really do have to have an all-wheel drive to go out and win? I mean, Luke, obviously, you're right there, 16 seconds, but you're going to your all-wheel drive at the 500, right? So do you guys think you have to, or are we going to see two-wheel drive trucks win? I know a year ago, a lot of people said two-wheel drive trucks still win, but what about now? Like, Luke, why are you going to the all-wheel drive?
I think there's still potential to develop the two-wheel drive. I mean, obviously, you can put a bigger motor in there, and then you can get more traction out of them, but then you're going to start breaking drivetrain. The all-wheel drive, I think it is faster. I think it's, splitting the power, and you got all tires pulling, and they handle really well. There's always the debate between lightweight and weight and what you need in the desert. I kind of been back and forth on that. I kind of think the weight is really helping the all-wheel drive, but if you talk to an engineer, they think we're absolutely crazy, but they also think the solid rear end is pretty crazy. But I don't know if you absolutely need one to win. Lettner's starting to look pretty quick in his two-wheel drive with that Gibbs motor, and he put the big rear gear in there. So they're going down the path of developing a two-wheel drive, and it might be really fast. It's in the back of my head to put a big block in my two-wheel drive, but I need to fix some geometry things on it as well. And then, of course, there's less moving parts on a two-wheel drive. So I don't know which one's going to end up being more reliable. But as far as splitting the classes go, that just doesn't make sense, because if the reason, I've looked at spec trucks too and thought, well, maybe it'd be, there's 35 of them. Maybe we should stop spending so much money and go down there, spend a lot less money, go race some badass trucks in Baja. Let's go race spec. The reason we don't is because we compete for the overall. That's what our family does. We go for the 4-wheel overall vehicle. So whether you split up 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive, the reason we're spending all this money is to go race for the overall. So I wouldn't split up the classes. I don't think we should even have a Trophy Truck Legends class. To me, we keep chopping up these classes and feeding into Andy's point. There's no show. Who cares who won a class with 2 people in it? And then as soon as, someone's crying that someone has a bigger motor or this and that, boom, we have a new class. Pretty soon we're all going to be winners. I mean, there's no show there. So, so I guess my point is, I don't know if you absolutely need an all-wheel drive. I think right now they're looking really good. They handle really well. I've compared mine and Dan's. I like the all-wheel drive. I do worry, Bryce already got in my head again by telling me his front diff may have went out. I'm going, oh shit, because I've been watching the all-wheel drives and waiting for the reliability to be there, and it seems to be there, or at least it's there to the point where I'm not going to play the odds of Bryce, Andy, Dan, Lofton, and the rest of the guys having an issue. So I think Trophy Trucks Unlimited right now, I think it still is a good show for what it is. I think we're one of the only forms of motorsports that has unlimited racing. I think that's cool. I think the spec class is a really good class, but we want to win. We want to race for the overall. So I think everyone will be surprised. We'll see what truck I pick over the years, because I'm keeping the 2-wheel drive. I don't think it's dead yet. I don't think it's, especially for a peninsula run Baja 1000, you get down to mile 800-900 and you go through the Constitution whoops. That's a whole different animal. So there's still development to be had in both trucks. So who knows?
For sure. And I'm with you, Luke. I don't think the classes should be split. I just know that I hear people talking about it. I think unlimited racing is great. All these other forms of racing that have so many rules, induction rules, and just, I think it's great that SCORE and off-road racing in general has stayed completely unlimited. And I think that's the future of our class. And if you don't want to be unlimited, I think the spec class is an incredible place for those that don't want to race it. And I think that was the intention. And I, like you, I'm not really a huge believer in the legends class. But at the same time, I guess I get it. I almost think that if there was a legends class, you might want to put it like spec legends, so they don't have to spend all that money to race the trophy truck, so to speak. But, I think it's open for debate.
Yeah. And one other point I'd like to add is, where do we draw the line for trophy truck? Andy and I in our family, we're kind of getting to the point, where we're looking at it and going, starting to not make sense and stuff. But that's kind of the point we're at, where Menzies is, game on, still going. I think back the last 15 years, it wasn't that long ago, I was sitting at a breakfast with my dad and Mike Jolson, and they're talking about the outrageous Fortin bills they have, for the boxes, the gear boxes they had in Class 1 cars and the Jimco cars, when there was 30 or 40 of those. And then everyone went to Geyser trophy trucks. And again, back at the breakfast with my dad and Jolson going, Mark, you have no idea what it costs to run the truck. It's not just fenders. It's outrageous. And my dad said, we will never go trophy truck racing. And then we went trophy truck racing, and then we got 2 of them. And then all-wheel drive came along, and we said, we will never do that. And here we go. We got 1, and now we got 2. So it's kind of hard, where do you draw the line? There is going to be a point in time where, like Bebo said, there's only 3, 5, 6 of us that are competing, but it's kind of ironic, because if you ask the 30 people out there, I'd say about 20 of them think they can win. But I think, back to my point, is the same big players have been in the game for a long time. It's Vidosla, it's McMillan, it's Robbie Gordon, and that same group of people all have all-wheel drives now. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So that same group of people have been hopping and leaping. You look back over the last 30 or 40 years of racing, the names really haven't changed that much.
Interesting. Good point. And here we are again, McMillan's, Ampudias, Steels, McCachran's growing. We just talked about it in the last segment.
If the Herps believed the all-wheel drive was faster, they'd build one, but instead they built a motor that cost $130,000 to build.
Right. That's their widget, something different. And they've got some kids coming up that have been showing their speed. Bryce, they talk about budget. I think attention to detail is a big part of it. And Luke actually pointed you out directly. Do you feel like there's a way to make it so it's more controllable, or do you just think that there's just, I don't see how you could control it by budget. That's what I'm saying. So Luke and Andy are saying something about controlling by budget. I just don't know how you would do that. And I don't know if it's like, okay, well, you're limited to, like they were trying to do, where you have to use your motor and transmission and third member from qualifying in racing. That's going to help save money. And at one point, and I think they even marked some of the cars at this last race. How would you control that from a budget standpoint?
I wish I knew. I'd save a lot of money.
Good point.
I really don't know. I think unlimited trophy trucks, it's going to be insane to try to put a cap on. I think we've tried, like you're saying, we've tried to where you can't run a qualifying transmission. They tried some of that stuff, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of these families, engineers, if they didn't see the sport like evolving and keep growing, I don't know that there would be some of us in it, because I think that brings a lot to, to my family. My dad loves, innovating and trying new stuff. And he was the first one in 2014 saying, hey, we need a 4-wheel drive trophy truck. That's where his mind just keeps going, is he loves pushing the sport and keep things evolving. So I don't know where you could budget trophy truck. I think that's why there's the spec class. But even when you look at that class, it looks like there's a top 5 guys that go win every single race, and there's 40 trucks. So I think a lot comes down to the driver. I don't know if a lot is budget, but I don't know if that's all of it.
For sure. Jax, it sounds like you're going 4-wheel drive racing. Is that true? Or are you guys staying 2-wheel drive?
We're not there yet. We're trying to see what we can do. Really, if you think about trophy truck, San Felipe, with the exception of the 1000, that was my second SCORE race in a trophy truck. So, we're kind of figuring out what we're doing now. Got a big project coming up this 1000. So we're trying to see what we can do in the 2-wheel drive and then maybe look at it in the future.
You guys announced that online, right? I saw a post from your dad. So
yes.
Tell us what it is.
So it's racing the Baja 1000 with Ken Block and maybe one other guy in here. That's not announced yet.
Gotcha. And so will it be in 2-wheel drive, or is that what you guys are committed to? Or
Yep. So we're talking to, we actually just pulled the trigger on a Geyser G6. So a big block 2-wheel drive, be pretty wicked. I guess I can go ahead and say it. So we're planning on racing it with Alan for the 1,000. So no one knows that yet. That's secret up to now.
Fishgistics breaking news.
Yeah.
There you have it. Well, Alan's an incredible driver. You guys will have a heck of a team. Congratulations on the new Geyser G6.
I think we should talk about Baja 1000 drivers. Are Andy and Bryce back together?
Oh,
I
man.
don't know if he really wants me back. I might just sit this one out.
Bryce and I haven't talked since the last 1,000. We texted each other a little bit after the race.
Yeah.
But no plans made yet for this year.
Is it a point-to-point this year? Do we know?
Yeah. It's supposed to be. Yeah. Last I knew it was going to be, because they wanted to do it last year, but then the COVID stuff, they did the loop and they postponed it to this year. So last I had talked to Jose G, it was, but who knows? Things always change, But yeah, it's supposed to be.
What about you, Luke? What do you got stirring back there? I see a little smirk.
I'm not sure. LR won't be racing with me. He's going to be racing the Baja Jerky truck. And so I don't know. I got a few options, one that stands out. And I think we're going to have a great shot at winning it. So we'll see.
Right on. Everybody keeping it close to the vest. I know we've been talking to some people too. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to the Peninsula Run. We really were geeked up for it last year. And unfortunately, the people have been sick and passing away, and I understand the changes, and we'll see. It sounds like still a Peninsula Run. I haven't heard anything contrary to that, but I'm excited to get down to the southern part of Baja. It's sure a beautiful place. Not that the top isn't, but we don't get to see the bottom as often as we get to see the top. Well, most of you guys don't. I get to see it pretty often.
Jax, is Ken racing any other races with you?
Yeah, we're looking at Vegas, Reno, and then a couple tests to get some seat time in the truck just to make us all comfortable as a team.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think it'll be pretty big for the sport as a whole. And then Ken is just like crazy to even say that that's a possibility for me to race with a guy like that. So I'm really excited.
No, it's awesome. Congrats. And I think that'll bring a lot of viewership to off-road racing, and always having him around is good for any sport.
Right. And this Friday will be our test, Ken's first time in a trophy truck. So I can't wait.
It'll be great. All those new viewers that come in to watch the Baja 1000 will be able to sit in front of a screen and watch little dots on a map just move down the peninsula.
They can watch their Fishgistics updates, right?
Fish.
They got fish.
Breaking news updates.
We just need that Starlink, and then we're good.
There you go.
Live anytime you want.
Hey, it's in Nevada now, Bryce. So if you can get one, you can probably take it down and see if it'll get satellite service. Just saying, if you have a Nevada address, you have a good shot at getting one right now.
Be your weight.
And Fish is giving technical advice to Bryce. I love this.
Well, he said Starlink, so I was just letting him know he can get it in Nevada because we can't get it in California yet.
Yeah, we have it already.
See?
Like I'm saying, dude, you're not tipping him off on anything. Come on. Alan, congratulations teaming up with
Once
Jax,
we get that in
huh?
Mexico, it's going to be awesome because all these guys in their chase trucks can have one in the pits. They can all be live. We can send someone to the middle of Matomi Wash. We can send someone anywhere, and it'll be live. And we can actually watch these guys come by instead of looking at a little dot going around on a map, like Andy said,
Why should we have to talk about it? How about the guys that are supposed to be promoting the race?
Well, they're probably watching right now.
I'm sure they're watching, taking notes right now. Alan, congratulations on the team up with Jax. It's pretty cool. You guys and Ken, that's a fun team. Obviously part of the Monster family there. So it's cool to see Ken involved. I've known Ken not really well, but for a long time back in the moto world, and from when he was with DC, and has a lot of passion for sure, and a lot of talent at a lot of different things. So it should be exciting to see him join the Baja 1000 circus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I got to thank Jax and his team, and obviously Ken's team for thinking of me and wanting me to join their team. So it's pretty exciting. I met Ken in Japan last year, so got to hang out with him a little bit, and saw him at Supercross this last weekend, so got to talk about him with a little bit of trophy trucks and Baja, and he's really excited. He wants to race, and obviously he's a competitive guy, so we're gonna make sure he's ready for the 1,000 to get a good shot at winning it again. So yeah, really excited. Like everyone said here, Ken's really big. I mean, he's the one that started basically viral videos on YouTube from back when. That's why I'm shooting my series as well, because you're just watching him. It's some cool to, having the sport, and it's going to bring a lot of new eyes to the sport. So that's never hurts. And hopefully we can get some Starlinks like Fishgistics said and put them all over the course so we can have everyone watch it live.
Yeah, then maybe we don't need fish hassling us anymore. We can get some proper coverage.
Well, then I can go race, because Luke called me and wanted me to come drive with him at the 1,000, and I'm like, sorry, Luke, like I have to do the race coverage. I can't come drive your brand new truck at the race, so sorry, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, Alan, are you only racing with Jax, or are your brothers going to be in the pink truck and the number 10 truck, or are you going to do like a dual entry type deal, or are you committing to with Jax?
No, I'm committed with Jax. We're balling on the budget, so there's no all-wheel drive unless Bryce wants to give me one of his for my birthday in December after the season's over, But, hopefully sometime an opportunity comes, we can step up all-wheel drive. I know that's going to be the move eventually at some point, but.
Wait, but Alan, you said earlier that you don't need an all-wheel drive to win.
I'm not saying, I'm saying the future. I'm not saying right now. I'm still going to give you guys a run for your money, two-wheel drive, one-wheel drive. I'm going to freaking go out there and give you guys a hell of a time.
I
you
love
can borrow
it.
mine, because I'm going to be in my two-wheel drive. We've won the last two in the two-wheel drive.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I don't need more. A small block, small budget. That's all we need, baby. And
if anybody wants the best story ever, just talk to Alan after any race. You hear the craziest stories. It terrifies me listening to his story after every race. It's crazy.
Did you talk about San Felipe?
No, I mean, just people, you guys seen it. You feel like Moses parting the seas, and this at the 250 at the very end, power pole line, almost to the last speed zone. This one dude is just fully bent back towards me. I'm freaking going as fast as the car will go. It's like 112, 115, somewhere in there, and everyone's moving, and this big dude just freaking just laying there putting his phone up, and I'm like, dude, come on, dude, like you can hear the truck. I'm coming up quick. They got one move, and I had to like slam on the brakes. The guy's like, you could just see his face, like having a great time, all drunk. But I mean, it is what it is. We know what we get into down there, and it's hopefully they listen at some point and just stand a little bit away. But I can understand the adrenaline of watching us go by. It's crazy, but yeah, a couple of close calls here and there over the years.
Yeah, there's a lot of people down there at San Felipe. I think everyone was anxious to get out and watch a race, but man, a couple of those spots, I haven't seen that many people in an enclosed area for a long time.
30, that looked like crazy.
The race mile, what was it, 260? We didn't even know where to go. There were so many people in cars and quads, and it was nuts.
Yeah.
I had a couple chasing behind actual trucks, like regular trucks and a minivan, like on the course. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? I'm a fourth trophy truck going by. You guys in the middle of the course. Like, what's going on? I'm honking. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's Baja, so that's why we love it.
Yeah. It's an adventure every time. Well, we're going to wrap it up here on Fishgistics. It's been great having all you big hitters in. Let's get a closing comment from everybody. We'll start with 5th place at San Felipe, Jax. Thoughts on the future? What's going on? Sounds like we kind of just got it, but you can just say goodbye if you want.
Yeah, for sure. That whole kid news is just mind blowing to me. Still can't wait for the rest of the series and then closing with the 1,000 with that huge project. So, yep, super excited. Good to be here.
Right on, Jax. Thanks for being here. Alan, closing thoughts?
Yeah, just excited to give you guys a hell and give you guys a run for your money at the 500. I won't make it that easy, I promise. But yeah, it's been fun. Thank you guys for having me, and we'll see you guys at the 500.
Oh, thanks, Alan. It's a lot of fun to have your family racing the trophy trucks, unlimited trucks with us. We enjoy it, and I can't wait till we're all back to normal. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to have to host us all at Papa's at some point as soon as possible, right?
You guys are all welcome. I have a table under your name, so just let me know when, and we'll send it.
There you go. There you have it. How about 3rd place, Andy McMillan? Closing thoughts?
I just enjoy the conversation. Enjoy seeing you guys. Looking forward to the 500. It's going to be a quick group up at the front. Keep your tires on the track and may the best man win, but it should be fun.
Right on. Looking forward to it. Luke, what do you got for us, buddy?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Looking forward to the 500, and we'll see what truck we bring. I think I'm bringing all-wheel drive, which I want to enter the race with the same truck that Bryce and Andy have, but at the same time, it's going to be tough learning on the fly in between those two on how to drive it. So we'll see. It's going to be fun, but looking forward to it.
Right on. And Bryce, the big winner from San Felipe, congratulations. Also winning King of the Hammers. A great start to the year. Thoughts going forward?
Oh man, just glad to be back racing. Glad that it seems like this world is turning somewhat back around and getting back to normal. Looking forward to the 500. Starting out front with these two guys behind me, and don't let Luke fool you. We know he'll be perfectly fine in that all-wheel drive truck pushing me. So we're gonna have fun, and then also just gotta say, whoever wins the 500, watch out for Alan, because he will get you at the bar afterwards. I'm just telling you.
I don't know who that guy is.
Alan stirring the pot.
Thank you, guys.
I hope it's me, because man, I look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I hope it's me. I'll invite you all drinks.
Right on. Well, hey, you guys, thanks again for being a part of Fishgistics today. I think it was a fun show. I think we covered some good topics and got some. It's just great to hear the superstars of our sport, talking here online, and the fans can all tune in whenever it's convenient for them and listen to an hour of the trophy truck and the other classes as well. I have fun doing it. I appreciate Fish giving us all the opportunity. I too am looking forward to the Baja 500, looking for a little redemption, a little hard San Felipe having to race our pre-runner last minute. Hoping I still have the skills. I feel like we're still competitive and ready to do this. I do like the big block. I will say we're running a small block right now, but at the same time, there's pieces of it that I like, the way it sets up the truck different. So we're having a ton of fun with the truck we have, and I have driven the 4-wheel drives. I do feel like there is a lot of opportunity there. We'll see when we get to the finish line at the Baja 1000 what the best vehicle is, or the best widget that particular day, and the best team and driver. I wish you guys all luck at the 500 and the 1000, and we'll catch up with you guys soon. That's going to do it for this episode. The 34th running of the BF Goodrich Tires SCORE San Felipe 250 is in the books. Your winner, Bryce Menzies, congratulations overall, and a great job by all of you guys to finish inside the top 5. That's going to do it for me. Fish, how you doing, buddy? Is that it?
Yeah, well, all good. No, big thanks to all you guys for coming on. It's really cool that, the one good thing that kind of came out of this whole thing the last year is we get to have these shows and get people from all over to come on, because I like doing them at Baja HQ, and hopefully we can do them again soon. But this has been cool because we got guys in Vegas, Texas, Mexico, all over that come on here. So big thanks to all of them, and you, Cameron, for always hosting the show. I think a lot of people like it. So this wouldn't be anything without you guys. So thanks to all you guys for coming on, and we'll see you guys at the 500.
Right on. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.